Welcome to Issued for Construction. I'm your host, Jonathan Jacobs. Today I've got with me a woman who runs a practice here in Toronto. And I will say this, it's a rather unique practice. Why am I saying it? I'm saying it because in a world where there is a lot of stock put into particularly high-end world, the woman I've got with me today runs a practice that is rooted in everyone being able to acquire what she has as an offering. And I say that because it can work on both the high end, it can work on mid end. And I say mid end, still really nice, like really nice stuff. And so I should just go ahead and say who it is, because you've already read who's on today's episode, and it's Christine Lolley from Solares Architecture.
Hi, Jonathan.
How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. That's a very nice introduction.
It was unscripted, as it always
Very
is.
good. Very good.
And I gave that whole intro because I think it's important that people understand that there are scales to everything. And one of the things that I have known about your practice prior to knowing you was that was one of the most poignant elements of what your practice does, is that you can create beautiful spaces that aren't going to cost people
everything
$1,000 to $1,500 a square foot.
Oh yeah, no.
Now you can.
I could if someone assigned me with that job, but that has not been the case to date.
So that idea that great design does not have to come with an impossible price tag and that quality can meet a client wherever their budget lives sits at the center of how Kaplan's Appliances approaches every relationship. Kaplan's does not see a sale as a finish line. For them, the point of sale is where their relationship begins. Whether the client is an architect, a designer, a builder, or a homeowner, Kaplan stays focused on communication, quality, and long-term service, working to understand what a space and its people actually need, rather than simply moving a product out the door. And if you want those conversations to be had in private when you talk about budget and what you're looking for, they have small designated rooms within their facility to be able to have those private conversations. Their showrooms are big enough that you're not next to the person purchasing next to you. There is space. That kind of attentiveness, treating every client as a relationship worth investing in for the long run, is exactly the kind of care this conversation keeps circling back to as you continue to listen. If this episode has added any value, give it a 5-star review. It helps other architects, designers, builders, and homeowners find the show, and follow along on Instagram keeps the conversation going between episodes. If you want to reach out to Kaplan's, you can do so by going over to the liner notes or emailing me directly. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca. And now let's get back to Theodore. So with that, I always start this off by asking people, because I wanted to create a sense of who you are and what you are, and then we'll come back to the practice. So tell anyone listening, where were you born? Siblings, family, what did it look like? What did your parents do?
Okay.
Let's just start with that.
Great. I grew up in Puslynch Township, just south of Guelph, Ontario. And I grew up in the country.
Okay.
I was born in the late 70s. So I grew up in the beautiful golden age of the 80s when, in the country, we had about 4 channels on the TV and not much else to do. So I spent a lot of my childhood. It was a very creative childhood. I spent a lot of my time outside playing pretend, playing dress up with my siblings and my next door neighbor, Lisa. There was just one neighbor. My mom was a doctor, a family doctor.
Okay.
And my dad ran his own company. He created computer software for the equipment rental industry. So if you wanted to go and rent a jackhammer, that would be the business management software that my dad created. I have an older sister, Sarah, and a younger brother, Peter, who was the victim of a lot of our creative and play games, because we always made him dress up and play with us.
Sorry, Peter.
Sorry, Peter. It's interesting because we grew up in the country, but all three of us now live in the three major cities of Canada. So my sister is in Montreal, I'm in Toronto, and my brother's in Vancouver.
Wow.
Yeah. And my parents are still in the country, but not at our childhood home. They moved in 2005.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where I grew up.
And what kind of kid were you in terms of like, you know, your interests? What did you like to do before? What did you like to do after school? What did you like to? What were your subjects that you were interested in during school? And I'm talking like early in life as it kind of evolved.
I feel like I was a very similar child to the person I am today.
Okay.
I always really liked organizing things. So a fun job on the weekend would be to like clean out my closet or organize my shelves, which if you talk to my husband and kids now, they're like, yep, that sounds about right.
And how were you organizing? Is it based on color or is it based on?
Yeah, it would be sort of like taking everything out and cleaning it and then putting it back very orderly in terms of like, you know, I would arrange my books by height, for example, from tallest to shortest. So
And in alphabetical order as well or not?
Maybe, but I think it was more, they were like picture books because I was a kid. So it'd be more like height. The visual was more important than the logic.
Okay.
I remember being fascinated, you know, why did I sort of become an architect? And I always tell people I always wanted to become an architect. And I remember I was sort of thinking about this like in advance of this interview, like what was the moment or what pinpointed it?
This is not an interview. This is a discussion.
this podcast. But I remember there was a book in our house called The House Book by Terence Conran, who was a really popular interior designer, British interior designer. And it was this huge picture book of all these like incredible, every chapter was a room or a space. And it was just this picture book full of pictures of these 1970s spaces and materials and products and shapes. And I was completely infatuated with this book. I would go back to this book over and over again. It was almost like a security blanket. You know, when I was like sort of feeling out of sorts, I'd grab this book and kind of flip through. And shortly after that, my uncle Andrew came to visit from England. My dad's originally from England. And he said, you know, we were kind of getting to know him for the first time. And he's an architect. And I was like, well, what is that? And he sort of explained it. And I kind of...
How old are you?
I was like maybe 4 or 5.
Okay.
And I remember like, you know, at that moment kind of saying, yeah, that's it. That's what I want to do too. And I was always completely infatuated with houses specifically. Every time I'd go to someone's house, I'd love to walk around and see how they did things different than my family did or what the rooms looked like. All the little details, you know, where the furniture went or if it had like throw pillows or not, right? And when I was a little bit older for fun, my parents would buy me house plan books. So like those like really kind of, suburban house plan books. Yeah. And I would get a pen and I would fix them. I would make them better.
Red pen?
Sometimes a red pen. And I would like, you know, I'd be like, oh, if they'd only put the door here, then you could have a bigger closet. Or if like the closet went here, then the circulation through the room would be better or this kind of thing. Or this room's too big. I could like turn it into 2 rooms and then someone could have their own like office. So that was like, you know, kind of quirky stuff from my childhood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was a pretty quirky kid and I grew up in the country and my parents were the only parents in the kind of demographic who were like professionals working in Toronto in Guelph. Mm-hmm. And I remember a lot of times people saying, you're weird. You're a weird kid. And I know. And it kind of like, I don't know, created like a sort of personality for me. But at the time, I didn't love it.
Yeah, obviously.
But now I think I can appreciate that being different is ultimately good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what subjects in school were you drawn to? Were you drawn to the idea of like now drawing what you saw as failures in these spaces in art class, or
Interestingly, I was terrible at art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I actually almost failed. We had to do a life drawing class in first year university, and I almost failed. And I never took art in high school. I was dreadful at it. I still am.
So what were your interests? What were you
My
doing?
interests were, in school, I actually really liked sciences.
Okay.
I really liked biology. I had a fantastic high school biology teacher who really inspired. I think it really comes down to the teacher, doesn't it? When they inspire you.
I mean, it can. I had really inspiring teachers in science, and it just did not click. My brain was like, nope, this isn't it.
Yeah. I loved learning languages.
Okay.
I'm actually really thankful now that in high school I learned how to touch type, because that was like really important in the 90s.
Touch type?
Touch type, like typing without looking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But we did it on like typewriters. Yeah. So I'm really glad that I got that in early before I could sort of think about it too much.
I have an interesting story on that. There's a person, I went to a junior high school where the teacher in typing or computers was not a very nice woman.
Okay.
She's quite the opposite of that.
Yep.
And to learn in this class, you would turn the monitor off and the light would go off in the class, and she would have you type in the dark.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, now I'm thankful for as a great skill, but she was also just not a nice person. And there was a person older than me that was in her class, and he was brilliant. And she said to him, "You will never amount to much in this realm." He subsequently founded a software company and sold it for a lot of money.
Right.
Like a lot.
And his typing skills had
and
not much to do with it.
His typing skills were okay. Yeah. Yeah, and he to this day is like typing and probably involved in some AI stuff, and
wow,
very smart guy. Not a part of my family, like nothing, just just this really really smart guy.
Yeah,
and, typing class.
That's how you met,
right?
In high school, I really not a class, but I joined the environment club, and I loved that. It was the 90s. We loved in Guelph. Guelph is a very liberal city. Yeah. We just loved protesting things. It was like a hobby. We'd go to marches and we'd write petitions and Amnesty International. And I joined the Environment Club. And I remember feeling like I found something that I could really feel passionate about. And I was eventually the president of the Environment Club. And that was a really important
and
kind
so
of part of high school for me.
What were some of the things that you looked at doing as a part of that club?
We convinced the school to let us plant the whole front lawn with trees. That was really, and then yell at people when they like touched the trees or tried to break branches off the trees. We did a lot of like letter writing and petitions. It was all very, compared to like the level of environmental kind of degradation that's happening right now, it feels like a very soft time, but like writing to oil companies about oil spills and stuff like that. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so what did you take to provide yourself with an opportunity to go to post-secondary, and what did you study in post-secondary? So
I went to the University of Waterloo for architecture.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you do within high school to put together a portfolio?
So yeah, it's interesting because I didn't have art.
Yeah.
So I remember thinking, okay, I've got to like show them that I'm creative, but I don't have this like classic artistic portfolio. So what else can I do to show them how creative I am? So the one thing that I did that I think was probably pivotal was I collected all of the designs that I had done since I was a child. And I had kept them all in this binder in like the folio sleeves. And they were really, I have them still somewhere in a box, but it was like one day I did like a floor plan for a bird's nest, and like where was their little bed, and they had like a little, shaped mud thing for a water drinking bowl. I did floor plans for the guinea pig cage, and I went to a pioneer village. I loved pioneer villages, and I drew the whole town. And I just had all these different like floor plans and drawings, and I put them all in a folio. And so it was very interesting because I also interviewed with Ryerson for interior design. And sorry, I guess now it's called TMU. But at the time,
I'm not offended by it. It's okay.
Okay. At the time, it was called Ryerson. And they flipped through this portfolio and they said, "How's your English mark?" And I said, "Oh, it's good. I think it was like 90." And they said, "Oh, it's just there's a lot of spelling mistakes in these works." And I said, "Well, yeah, I spelled cement, SAMENT, because I was 7." Like, so anyway, the Waterloo people got it. They were like, "This is this is so cool. Like, you've been drawing floor plans of all kinds of wacky stuff since you were a child."
You misspelled cement.
Cement. And yeah. So that was really, I had other things, like I was playing the flute at the time. So I wrote something on the flute that was all sort of artsy. And then I also put, when I was in high school, I had a real kind of like passion for dyeing my hair different colors, which I have held on to today. But I dyed my hair blue and green and purple, and I had pictures of that as part of my portfolio I think the personality was also, I feel like Waterloo looks for kind of confident, quirky people.
Yeah.
And I think that came across. So my weirdness on, the Puss Lynch baseball team turned into an asset for the University of Waterloo.
You didn't talk about playing baseball.
I played baseball in Puss Lynch for 10 years. I was terrible. I got worse every year.
They kept asking me to come back.
When I started playing with blue hair, they were like, "That's it. We don't want her on our team anymore."
I'm a proud Blue Jay fan.
Yeah, exactly. It would be cool today. Anyway, no, I played for 10 years in a row, and it was the only sport available in Puss Lynch. There was no other sports.
Hockey? Field hockey?
No.
Really?
No.
Okay.
No. It was very...
Right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other sports, but
I know. There was one year where there was soccer, which was such a balm, and then they didn't do it again.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did swimming lessons too, like in town.
Right. So you got into Waterloo,
Mm-hmm.
and what was that experience like when you got in? Did you like it right away? Did you not like it right away?
I loved it right away.
Okay.
I loved it right away. Apparently, if you talk to my classmates, I was the first person that almost everybody met. Like, I tore around the studio introducing myself. I was so pumped. And there's probably 30 or 40 people who will say, "Yes, Christine was the first person I met," because I was just like racing up to people. And I felt, like I'd found my people finally.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are a few people I think that have had on here that were part of your same, if not your same year, within a year of you.
Yeah. I think you've had several Waterloo alumni, people that we've crossed paths with. Great school.
Right. That's what I've understood from everyone.
Yeah.
I actually did a recording there with
nice.
a bunch of alumni.
Nice.
So it's interesting, in that when you arrive to a place and you feel like you have arrived to your place, which when you're going through high school, as you described prior, like most of us, you never know that you're in the right place.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then if you've found the right subject with the right potential career and you land in that specialized program, from everyone that I have spoken to, there is this ease that comes as a part of like your soul.
Yes.
Well, yes, your mind and all the rest of it's going to have to now try to compete with what's going on.
Yeah. It feels like your life is starting, like it feels like, okay, now my life can begin.
Yeah. Well, you're starting to have meaning.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had a great high school. It was a great experience, but I'd never met anyone in high school who shared my passion for architecture. And then I went to Waterloo and there's like 70 people who are all like there for the same thing. Mm-hmm. And now 5 of those people, I think, dropped out in the first week. So maybe not them, but the 65 of us that were left.
They might have been passionate about it before they arrived.
Yeah, maybe. It was pretty intense.
That's what I've heard. So when you were in studio and working with your peers in the school, what were some of the courses or some of the projects that you were able to work on that you can recall really help you on your path towards where you are now? Were there certain
Mm.
and I want to think about this correctly to ask it correctly. So were there certain specific crafts that you learned that you still work on today and implement today? Were there certain communication styles? Was there a specific way of thinking that was instilled into you there?
Mm-hmm.
Any
It's a good
any of
question.
those?
Yeah, I think that starting in second year or maybe third year, we did start to have sustainable architecture introduced to us as a concept. And I think we were one of the first classes that started to have this conversation about sustainability implemented. And I remember, again, this passion for the environment. I remember my professor, Val Rinameri, having a lecture about climate change. And he described the climate like a pendulum that always wants to equalize.
Earlier in this conversation, there was a story about a childhood obsession with a picture book full of materials, products, and shapes, the kind of detail that can shape a lifelong eye for design. The same appreciation for material quality and craft is what the doors have built their name on for the past 20 years. Their windows and doors work with architects, designers, and builders to match window and door profiles to exactly what a project calls for, with a wide range of material and glazing options, sizing, spans, and even curved configurations. And beyond windows, they also supply lift and slide doors in every form of exterior door, all built to hit the high performance standards without extra cost for shop drawing revisions or custom colors. It is the same commitment to getting the details right, the kind of thinking this conversation keeps returning to, that makes the doors a trusted partner for homeowners looking to improve how they experience their own space. If you want to connect with the doors, email me. It's Jonathan, JONATHAN at issuedforconstruction.ca, or head over to the liner notes to connect directly with Marta and Martin, the owners of the company. And if you're enjoying this show, a 5-star review goes a long way. You can also follow along on Instagram, keeps you in the loop between episodes. Full liner notes down below with everything mentioned today are linked. Now, let's get back to the episode.
And the stronger and more forcefully you push that pendulum out of the way, the stronger and faster and more forcefully it'll swing back in its quest to gain equilibrium. But of course, it's going to swing the other way as it sort of passes that balance point. And so the more we push the climate, the more it'll push back.
Okay.
And that really gelled a very big concept of environmentalism for me. It's like literally the planet. And it's not just about recycling or, an oil spill here or leaving your car idling for a minute. It's like the full on climate of the planet and how critical it is. So that was really grounding for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing is maybe this is the way in university in general, or maybe other architecture programs, but just the maturity and independence that we were kind of given in university. You go from high school where everything is kind of prescribed, and then it's here you go, do a project, and you're just on your own. And so there was a huge amount of growth in learning how to organize, learning how to go through that creative, critical process that, was really, it was pivotal.
I guess you came into it with a little bit of a background in being able to organize your books and organize your closet.
Yes.
But there is very defined, very easy, wasn't as loose. You had the objects in front of you. Whereas here it becomes a lot more abstract.
Very abstract.
Right? You have to go figure out everything.
Yeah. And I think there was a lot of learning how to process ideas in a way that gave the ideas justice without getting stuck, because every once in a while you'd get stuck on something and you just can't get past it.
Right.
And so teaching yourself how to move past, how to just leave that to the side and go on a different tangent and circle back if you need to. There's just a lot of processing that's required when you're in that critical thinking mode.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you go through school And I know that there's also a co-op program that they offer, which now having spoken to more people, and I was, you're going to be the first release having just come off of this experience with New York interviews. And so interviewing people with more international background. And I say it because there are very few schools that offer a co-op program in the same way. People are doing co-ops or internships during the summer, but not as a part of school curriculum.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was really one of the best things about Waterloo. And I went to a lot of different places. And so it wasn't just the work, it was the city. It was being independent, being away. So I remember my first co-op, I went to Toronto. I was a country girl. Like Toronto was like, it had been my quest for so long. As a high school student, I met my friends and I like snuck into Toronto once, and it was like this huge adventure. So living in Toronto, working in Toronto was just so cool.
Right.
And then I went to New York, that was pre 9/11. It was 1999. And I had a shaved head. And I was just like Sinead O'Connor, full on Sinead O'Connor. And I would leave work and I'd put on my Discman and I would listen to
anti-skip 30 seconds.
Yep. And I'd listen to trance or whatever. And I'd just walk and walk and walk. And then I went to London, and my roommate Margaret and we would just walk all day, like 8-10 hours, just walking everywhere.
I mean, one makes complete sense. I have to tell you. So last week when I was in New York,
you were listening to trance.
Well, not quite, not quite. But I finished dinner with a friend in Koreatown, and I was like, I'm going to walk back to the hotel. It was a nice night. It was beautiful. And I put on Massive Attack.
Oh, I love Massive Attack.
The Mezzanine album,
perfect.
1998.
It is perfect for New York.
And I just put that on with my earbuds,
yes.
And I walked north, and I was having an incredible time.
Yeah.
Just taking in.
There's something about listening to music while walking in a city.
Yeah.
That is so cinematic.
Yeah. It was a soundtrack.
It's just beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
Sorry, as you were describing outside of New York, you talked about another city, and I was looking.
London. We were in London.
Okay.
My roommate at the time, Margaret, and we would just walk and walk. London's weird because it's really not very warm. And I remember one day we were out and about, and the sun came out, and it was instantly hot. And we were wearing pants and sweaters, jumpers, I should say. And we had to actually stop and buy T-shirts because it got so hot, and we were so far away from home.
Right.
That was really awesome.
That was an expensive day.
Well, we bought cheap T-shirts.
Okay,
but what I learned from the co-ops, I learned that I love cities, and I learned a lot about the cities that I lived in.
Right.
I also learned that, and I apologize to anyone who once employed me, but I'm not a very good employee. And that's one thing that I really learned that was crucial to my life.
Never have I spoken to anyone that has openly said that.
I was really not a very good. I am so motivated and hardworking when I'm running the show.
So
yeah,
can we unpack that a little?
Sure.
Bit? Okay, so because you had these co-ops.
Yeah.
Do you want to name any practices or not?
Sure.
It's up to you.
Yeah. I worked at in Toronto. I worked at Wayne Swadron Architect.
Yeah,
and he's a really cool guy. I really liked working there. It was actually all hand drawing, so I did a lot of hand drafting, which was, one thing I was pretty good at. But it was a small office. Homes. I loved homes. Really nice coworkers. So that was nice. I'm probably like exaggerating when I say I'm a terrible employee. I'm sure I brought some value.
Well, I have to
in
call
those
Wayne.
4 months. Wayne? Okay.
I know.
Call Wayne and see if he remembers me.
Wayne, I don't know if you're listening to this episode, but I know that you listen to a number of episodes.
Thank you, Wayne, for giving me my first job in architecture. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah. Really lovely, very inspirational work.
Very honest.
Yeah. Yeah. I really liked working at Wayne Swadrons. And then in New York, I worked for Kohn Pedersen Fox, huge company.
I just met with them on
there you go.
Friday of last week. They're celebrating 50 years this year.
Oh my gosh. what I did for them was again, this is like pre-digital age. So my boss would mark up a set of drawings, like shop drawings for steel. My job would be to copy his markups onto 3 or 4 or 5 other sets in red pen. That was my job.
Did you?
So,
but you liked.
I liked marking it up.
You liked marking.
I think
you took the books.
I know.
And now you found a job.
I know. But
York.
I think I was pretty distracted in New York because it was really fun. Funny story, and I cannot remember my direct boss's name, but I called in sick one day. And it's because on the weekend I had been clubbing, and I had been, this sounds more important than it is, but I'd been scouted by Much Music to come and dance in Times Square, Electric Circus. In Times Square.
This is amazing.
But of course,
Christine,
it was like...
I did not know we were going here. I'm so happy to be sitting here.
But of course, it was on a Monday. It's not like cool the way you think it is. Like it was Monday during the day.
Okay.
So I called in sick.
Wait, can I give some background?
Of course.
Music? Okay.
Yeah, please.
So Much Music was the Canadian version of MTV. So for those that don't know what Much Music is and also don't know what MTV is, you could imagine that back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, music videos were a big part of the music culture.
Yeah.
You know, production of a music video mattered. Nowadays, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the money is spent on the promotion of a song and other things like Drake just did with Iceman and other things. So
exactly. So this was, sorry, did I say Much Music? I should have said MTV.
You did say Much Music.
Okay, sorry. I got them mixed up.
That's the Canadian.
Okay. So it was MTV.
It was MTV.
And it was in Times Square.
Crazy.
And it was on a Monday. So they said, come with your hair and makeup ready. And of course, I didn't have any hair. So that was pretty easy. And so I called in sick. Now, so embarrassingly, my boss saw it on MTV.
Come on.
And he came in a few days later or a week later, and he starts flapping his arms around. He says, who am I? I'm you on MTV. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was before I got sick on that day. I don't know if he believed me.
I got sick from doing that.
I got sick from doing that. It was cold in Times Square. Anyway, I don't think he really cared that much. I was 19, so that was pretty funny.
He's like, I got this international student. She's living her life right now.
Yeah, so funny. And then when I lived in London, I worked for a company called IDIS. And one of the bosses there, one of the owners, I worked for them twice, and I'm blanking on what their name was before they got bought by IDIS. But one of the owners never had the time of day for anybody, let alone me, this lowly co-op student from Canada. And he'd breeze into the office every day, go into his office and close the door. And everyone's like, oh, okay, we can breathe a sigh of relief now. Anyway, one day I went to meet up with my dad's cousin. So I think that's my first cousin once removed, a man called Hugo Keith.
Okay. So
I went to have dinner with Hugo and my other cousin, Deborah, at Hugo's house. And it turns out Deborah and my boss were friends from the same circle. So he wasn't there, but I guess they talked afterwards or something. So the Monday rolls around and he breezes into the office as normal, but he stops right in front of my desk and he says, you're friends with my friend cousin, or no, I can't say it properly. Let's do it again. No. There's no way we're cutting that. Your cousin and I are friends. Anyway. And then he just stands talking to me for like 5 minutes. And then he goes into his office and closes the door. And everyone around me is like, oh my God, he doesn't talk to anybody. And I was like, yeah, my cousin Deborah is friends with him. And that's, I guess I have an in somehow. It was such a small world. So, yeah.
God bless it.
My cousin Hugo is famous. He's a famous barrister in England. He's a KC, a King's Counsel.
Wow. And
he was the one who grilled, or he led the COVID inquiry and grilled Boris Johnson about his dubious behavior during COVID.
Wow.
So he was on all the covers of the papers for a little while.
What's up, Hugo?
Yeah, Hugo. Shout out to Hugo.
So, At this studio, what did you get to work on?
Oh,
at that
so
studio?
we worked on schools,
Okay.
which was really quite fun because in England, there's a complete obsession with tea, which I'm obsessed with too.
Yes.
But it has to be proper tea. It's not just any kind of tea. Like it's proper tea. And so it was
What is the difference between traditional?
Well, it
tea and
has to
proper
be
tea?
like an English breakfast or an orange pico. It can't be like herbal tea.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's got to be like,
Just making sure.
yeah. So at these schools, we're designing these schools and there were on every level and no more than, so many 100 meters apart would be these little tea points. And it was just this little kitchenette where you could go and make a cup of tea. It was so infused, pardon the pun, into their culture of like constantly having little tea points everywhere. And I just thought that was lovely that like this kind of cultural moment or opportunity for a little break in the day was actually embedded into the architecture.
Right.
Yeah. It was fun. It's little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that.
Yeah. It wasn't groundbreaking, but it was very like humane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people here, you're like, do you want to go grab a coffee? Sure. You go grab a coffee.
Yeah.
But grabbing a coffee is pretty transactional, whereas tea, for those that are unaware, you steep it.
You have to wait.
Yes.
Yes.
There is a process to it. I worked on a TV show called Spectacle
Okay.
with Elvis Costello.
Okay.
That was out in 2008, 2009. There were 2 seasons, and I was Elvis's assistant on the show.
Nice.
And I say this because I learned very quickly that as an Englishman, tea was very important. And so they used to throw up his team to get me trained on this. Used to literally put their hand, if you can envision, because this is a non-visual recording. The first hand is like an eye, and the other hand forms the top of a T. And they would look at me, they'd point, and they would just say this without saying anything. Get him a tea.
So fun.
And the first couple times that I made it for him, it was not done correctly because I didn't allow it to steep.
Yeah, no.
So I put the bag in.
Nervous
and
for
then
you.
Took the bag out. Like, what do I know? I don't know how to make tea. I learned really quickly how to make proper tea.
My dad has a timer on his phone that sounds like a cricket. And so, like, it's almost like the Pavlovian, like, when I hear a cricket, I'm like, tea's ready. Because it's like the 3-minute tea timer. And the cup is ready. Yeah.
Amazing. So, did you get to travel outside of England at any point during that co-op?
I did go, and I had a fun weekend in Dublin.
Okay.
With some of my classmates. And I don't really remember much of that weekend.
I would imagine
it was fun.
Was it music related?
It was, there were pubs and dancing and a lot of beer.
Yep.
I ended up missing my ferry home. So I had to fly. Okay. Which was, an adventure.
Yep.
And then the second time I did a co-op in London, I did 2. So 2000 and then 2003. And the second time I had just started dating my now husband, Tom. And so I flew to Rome to meet up with him.
Did he also go to Waterloo?
So he went to Waterloo. He was a couple years ahead of me. Okay. And he had finished his Rome, the famous Rome term that fall.
I figured we were going to go there.
Yeah. And then he was living in Pescara on the East Coast. And we had connected. I had just come back from New York, and he was in town for the Christmas holidays visiting his family. And I'd come back from New York, and I checked my email at school. This is when you had a university email account, but you'd only check it in the lab because you didn't have a computer. And so I saw this email that Tom had sent me like 4 months prior, congratulating me on getting a job in New York. And he said, I'm totally embarrassing Tom now, but he wrote in the email, your graceful successes have never ceased to amaze me.
You remember this?
Yes. Yes. And I thought to myself,
embarrassing to Tom.
And I thought to myself, wow, that is Tom. Wow, that's so nice. And so for some reason, I had his phone number, and I called his parents and his mom or dad picked up and they said, oh, he's picking up his brother from the train station. Here's the family cell phone number, right? Because there would be one cell phone that everyone would borrow. And so I called and he was so flustered that I was calling him that apparently he drove in the wrong way at the GO station. He like drove in the bus exit and caused a lot of havoc. But anyway, he said, oh, I have to come to Waterloo tomorrow to do something with OSAP, which was a total fabrication. But we went to Ethel's Lounge and shared a plate of nachos and beer. And then, you know, we kind of decided, oh, maybe we actually like each other. And then he went to Italy like the next day.
Bye.
Yeah. So we spent, 4 or 5 months calling each other on the phone at great expense. I was explaining to my kids the other day that it used to have to pay.
I'm so happy you're going here because
by the minute.
Yeah.
Right.
And do you remember how much it would have cost?
It was so much money.
Yeah.
I remember calling Italy if it was 25 cents a minute.
That's it?
Unless I had, but I was a poor student. We talked for a long time.
I thought it was way more. Really?
I think it was 25 cents a minute.
Okay.
But it was a lot of money.
No,
And then someone was like, oh, cards. You have to get a card. And I was explaining to my kids how you'd buy an international calling card and you'd have to call the one number and then you would be able to scratch the back. You're a winner. So then I went to London and we kept, in touch via letters and phone calls. And so then in June, I said, I'm going to come and visit you. And he said, okay, I'm going to come pick you up from the airport. And so June 23rd, that's the day. So this was in 2000. Yes, 2000. So almost 26 years ago. And we show up in Rome. I show up in Rome. We see each other for the first time in like 6 months. And he says, we've got an appointment at noon. We've got to go. We've got to hurry. So I'm like, okay, where are we going? And we race down over to the train and we jump off the train at the Coliseum. I'm like, oh my God, it's the bloody Coliseum. He's like, don't look at that. We jump on the bus. We're like wending our way through all of these side streets and medieval streets. And we jump out and we run down this side street and we fall into this piazza and it's the Pantheon, which is one of my favorite buildings. It's June 23rd at noon, 2 days after the summer solstice. The sun is coming straight in. And he looks at me and he explains all of this and I'm freaking out. Tom is like, this is the most romantic thing he's ever done. And then he was like, I'm good.
I got her.
I'm good. I'm going to retire on romance.
She'll tell this story for the rest of life and I'm good.
But he looked at me and he said, are you ready? And I said, yes. And we ran into the Pantheon and we stood in the sun. It's so weird because it's like, well, we were standing in the sun outside.
Yeah, but you weren't.
But going into a building and then standing in the sun, it's everything. And we just stood in the sun and the rest is history.
You can't tell me that if you were listening to this right now that you didn't just thoroughly enjoy that story. It would be impossible for you to say that.
It's a beautiful love story. We're very, very lucky.
Also, because I think it's very rare that people are able to describe their connection, their love connection, as a result of what happened through school.
Yes. And our love of architecture.
And it's very, very, very uncommon.
Yeah.
And maybe if you're listening to this, you've experienced that, but that's okay. I haven't interviewed you yet.
Not yet.
Don't worry. I'm working my way across the world.
There you go.
I love that. And before we started recording today, you were telling me that this year's your 20th wedding anniversary.
Yeah. So we got married in 2006.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Christine.
We're very lucky. We're like any couple, we have our ups and downs.
Yeah, of course.
But we share the same values and we share a lot of the same interests. And we're very lucky because when you meet somebody so young, like I was 21, you're not actually thinking about, the kinds of things that you're thinking about in your late 40s. And I feel like we've just gotten really lucky that we're compatible in all of those ways that really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, enough about you.
Enough about you, Tom.
Oh, Tom, taking over this.
Well, he's probably going to come back in when we talk about Solaris. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to come back to you, Tom.
We'll put a bookmark in for now. So you complete this work experience in co-op.
Yeah.
And then you have your opportunity to go to Rome.
Yes. Which was fabulous.
So you got a small taste of it with Tom.
Yeah. Went back, did the 4 months in Rome.
Yeah.
And then Tom and I went back together, and he was a TA for that class that was there. And I just hung out. It was like my only 4 months of my life of ever just kind of hanging out. I know. Learning Italian and eating.
4 months. Yeah. I feel like actually I took off time between 2 different jobs years and years ago. It was really important. Yeah.
I did like a 2-day stint as a nanny, and it was very odd.
You weren't working for yourself.
No, I wasn't working for myself. And I was working for a very, very wealthy Italian family really far away in the suburbs. And when I noticed that the husband, he came home from work and took his jacket off, and he had a gun on his back. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to work for this family anymore. and I didn't go back. Yeah. That was really weird. I'm kind of at the age now where I'm like, did that actually happen? But I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the kids were brats anyway.
No.
So
they can have each other.
My one stint as a nanny.
So tell me about what life was like when you came back to Toronto. Did you start your own practice right away?
Yeah. So after Rome, I did my master's, also at Waterloo. And that was when Waterloo was moving to Cambridge.
Yep.
So interestingly, I was in the middle of my master's when the move happened.
Okay.
And I was like, I am not stopping for anything. So I was actually the first student to move into that school.
Wow.
Because I was like, I'm not taking a day off. I need to finish this thing. So it was me and the construction workers finishing off the building, and me working on my thesis.
Okay.
And right around that time, my parents, who were both retiring, they said, they had 10 acres in Pusslinch, and they said, Guelph is just getting closer and closer every year. It's too loud. It's not isolated enough. It's not natural enough. So they started looking for land in other parts of the province. And they found the Gananoque area, which is where the Thousand Islands are.
Okay.
And it's where the Canadian Shield dips down and kind of dives into Lake Ontario. And that's what the Thousand Islands are. It's all these Canadian Shield rocks, this, 200-300 million year old granite. So they found a piece of land north of the 401, north of Gananoque. It's not on the lake. And it was 150 acres with all these beautiful granite rock outcroppings. It was just what they wanted. And they bought it for a ridiculously low price of something like $85,000 or something like that. And they said, will you design a house? And Tom and I were like, yeah. So we had to that's why I wanted to finish this master's so fast. I was like, I need to jump at this opportunity. And Tom was working for KPMB at the time. So he quit. I finished my master's, and we actually moved to Gananoque because we had designed this house, but we couldn't find a builder who wanted to build it. So we were like, well, we'll just build it ourselves. Tom had a little bit of construction experience. He was a ski bum before university in Whistler and spent a summer on a construction site. He helped his parents renovate their house a bunch of times. And so he was like, we can do this. My dad's a very handy person. So we were like, yeah, let's do it. We were so naive. It was great. There's something beautiful about that naivete. So before we moved up there, Tom did propose. So we got engaged. He felt like it wasn't quite right.
There you go.
Getting so involved in the family without some kind of official commitment.
And did light hit the ring?
The ring was sparkling. And so we moved up there and we built this house. It was a very sustainable house for us at the time. It was very sustainable. We really focused on reducing thermal bridging, air tightness. It had a heat pump, all this kind of stuff. And so when it was finished being built in the summer of 2006, we got married and we had the party at the house.
At the house.
Yeah. So it was very special. So it was a very small.
Your life is.
It was a very small wedding, but we were blessed to have our families there, and to be able to kind of celebrate in this space that we had created.
Right.
And so when we finished the house, we kind of, we sort of said, well, we don't really want to just go and get jobs. Like, it felt like a bit of a disservice to the opportunity that my parents had given us.
Yep.
And so Tom ended up landing a project for a family friend of his parents. And they said, we want you to come and just do the same thing. We want to fix up our house. We want to do the whole backyard, pool, cabana, everything.
Later in this conversation, there's a story about one of the very first projects taken on outside of a family build, a full backyard transformation that included a pool and cabana. Creating a beautiful, functional outdoor living space is exactly where Quanta Pools comes in. Quanta works closely with homeowners, architects, and builders to design and build pools and outdoor spaces that feel like a true extension of the home, not just a feature added on to the backyard. From initial concept through construction, Quanta brings the same kind of collaboration, detail-oriented approach that makes a project feel considered rather than assembled. It is that connection between the indoor and outdoor living and the quality of execution behind it that turns a backyard into another room of the house. If you want to learn more, head over to the liner notes to access Quanta's website, or email me directly. It's Jonathan, Jonathan, at issuedforconstruction.ca, and I'll connect you with Yuri, the owner of the company. And if you've been finding this podcast useful, a 5-star review helps us get exposure to more people. Please do so. 5 stars. And you can follow along on Instagram, keeping you connected to what's coming. Full liner notes have got all the details you need. And now back to Christine.
And so he was occupied with that sort of design build for a long, long time. And then I landed, I can't even remember how we met, Jessica Bootsma, but she, really gave us our first real, not family project. And that was in Grafton. And I designed that house, and then we were kind of, officially started.
So I can't tell you that I've ever really asked this question before, but how did you determine how you wanted to structure your contract, registering your company?
Yeah, we set ourselves up as a corporation. It's very funny. We got married and incorporated in the same month of the same year. So everything does feel quite linked. I can't remember why we decided it was going to be a corporation. I will credit my husband, Tom, for being probably more visionary than I am. Like he's ambitious. He always wanted things to be big, think big or go home kind of thing. So it was probably him who was like, look, if we're going to do this, let's do it right, and kind of set things up properly. But it wasn't until 2007 that we really got going.
Okay.
In the New Year's from 2006 to 2007, we were at Blue Mountain. We wanted to have a little getaway and go skiing, and it rained. It rained like the whole time. And so everybody was in the bar drinking. It was like the only thing to do.
By the way, I just need to let everyone know. So Blue Mountain is about an hour and a half. Was it north?
Yeah.
Northwest? North-ish? West?
North. Yeah, mainly north.
Mainly north of Toronto.
Yeah.
And it is the biggest ski area in Ontario.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't really define it as a mountain. Just as an important...
Not at all.
Delegation of what this place is.
Yeah. It's called Blue Mountain, but it is not a mountain.
By Ontario standards, it's a mountain.
It's the side of an escarpment.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
And, the weather is touch and go. So It was raining. We were in the bar.
Yeah.
And we saw this gentleman who was wearing this very political T-shirt. And I can't remember what it said. But Tom and I were both like, wow, that's a really cool T-shirt. And he said, oh, I just borrowed it from my cousin. You should talk to her. She's really smart. So we kept drinking, and then this guy brought his cousin over, and he's like, "This is my cousin." And this is how we met Julia Belluz, who's now an author and very prolific science writer. She was actually on the Ezra Klein podcast a couple weeks ago. And we started chatting, and we told her about what we had done. We'd built this house, and we designed it, and then we built it ourselves. And she was like, "That is so cool. I used to work at Azure magazine. Maybe I could write about it." And we were like, "Oh my God, that would be amazing." So we gave her our card. We took ourselves seriously. We had cards, and we didn't really hear from her for a couple of weeks. And then she got in touch, and she said, "Well, I'm really sorry, but Azure is not interested." And we were like, "Oh, that's okay." We weren't really pinning our hopes on that. But she said, "But I hope it's okay. I pitched it to the Globe and Mail, and they want to run it." And we were like, yes. And this was still when print media was important. And so the Globe and Mail ran this huge front page of the real estate section spread on my parents' house. And we landed 4 projects that day.
Crazy.
Yeah. It was like, so Julia, thank you if you're listening. She gave us our start. It was really
wild.
like, that was our big break, was Julia Belluz writing about us in the Globe and Mail.
You know, it takes a lot of, I'm going to use the word chutzpah, to put yourself out there and be in situations that you don't know where they'll land. You've talked about being in those positions multiple times throughout the course of your life. And to have an opportunity to be able to interact with someone, have enough impact on them that they would actually want to take a chance on doing that. Because they're on a professional career too.
Yeah.
All they know you from is having drinks with you at a bar, right? They don't know you. And for Julia to want to do that and then get denied, but then believe in it enough that she goes and pitches it to the Globe, that says a lot about what you had created and what impact you had made in that one night.
Thank you. It's
pretty amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. We were just peddling our wares.
I know. But look, there's elements of life where you create. You have to put it out there to create your fortune.
Right.
And you seemingly have done that multiple times to put yourself out there to find it. Small interactions like your boss seeing you dancing for MTV, like these are memorable situations. Like, I wonder how many times that guy had seen his intern dancing on MTV.
Right.
Right.
Probably just the one.
Right. He probably still, in some capacity, if he's still practicing, uses that as like, this is what you don't do.
Right.
If you're going to do that, don't get caught.
Don't get caught. Right? Don't lie about it and go on national TV.
So what I'm curious to know is, when you say that article was published and you acquired 4 projects that same day, how did they come to you? Did they call you? Did they email you?
Yeah, they read about it and they emailed or they called. I remember one of our early projects. It was our first project in Prince Edward County, and I think we've since done, I don't know, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But it was before the county was like the county.
Yeah.
And they called and they said, we want to build a house on this property we just bought in Prince Edward County. And they had us over for dinner, which was very interesting. It was very very intimate, very civilized. Yeah. And it's very interesting in my career. I've gone from being younger than all of my clients to now being older than most of them. And so that's been a really interesting transition to feel, and it was hard in the beginning to feel like this young, inexperienced tyke going to mom and dad's house for dinner kind of thing. But I guess they liked what we had to say and they hired us. And that was a really, really important project for us.
In what way?
I think it was a new build house. It was to the style that we wanted. We shared the same vision. That first house in Grafton was an arts and crafts house, which wasn't really our sort of cup of tea
Yep.
style wise. It was still a lovely home and our clients were very happy there. But the Prince Edward County house was like really kind of, I felt like we bonded with the clients very, very well. And that created better architecture. And then the other person that hired us was a man called Bill Gall, who's since passed away, which is really sad because he was a really cool guy. And he had a property behind a house in Kensington Market. And it was one of the first laneway houses because it wasn't actually a laneway house the way we have them today with our zoning bylaws. He had a piece of property in a lane and hired us to design him a house. And that was also what I loved about that experience was how connected we were with Bill, how much we worked together, how well we worked together. And I think that's something about the work that I do. That's the part that I love the most is working collaboratively with the client. And that's kind of those first couple of projects after that article is where that concept started really blossoming.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because what you describe, I think, is also important in that when people are researching who they would want to work with on a project, they look at the aesthetic of the designer.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they are making judgment of the design and not judgment of the character.
Right.
And the mistake is that because this is such a visual business, they're missing out on an opportunity to potentially work with someone that they might have actually really enjoyed working with that has never been able to design something that they wanted to design in their own aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like an actor that gets typecast.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that's all they ever get.
Yes.
And they don't get to go do their I'm going to reference Entourage. They don't get to go do their Median, you know?
Yes. Oh my God, I love that show. That show was really funny. The Median, yes.
So
yeah,
the passion project. And so I think it's pretty cool that within one of the first 4 projects that you were able to acquire with a net new client is a project that speaks to what you want to actually put out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think our first project for my parents, we very much led the process, but it was really collaborative. Like we built it ourselves. My dad helped build it. He was there every day. My mom bent rebar for the concrete. Like her name's Brenda. We called her Brenda, the rebar bender. And then
I have this visual for some reason of your mom just taking rebar and just bending it. With her
no,
hands.
she had one of those
I know.
huge, she's a very petite woman. But yeah, my dad, James, was on the site every day. We worked together. And then after that, we had projects that were more dictated by the client. But then we kind of, the second wave or the third wave was we kind of were able to start really implementing our process. And I think it's our process that's so important to us.
So let's talk about that and the evolution of the practice. So you started the practice, you incorporated, it was 2006.
Yeah.
When you incorporated, you acquire these 4 projects. Was it the end of 2006 or beginning of 2007?
2007. Yeah.
So 2007.
like kind of winter 2007.
Okay. So winter 2007. And at this point, do you have employees or no?
No, just
Right.
us.
So
Yeah.
the 2 of you.
Yeah.
And I say this because, the evolution of a practice, at some point, some people want to hire and sometimes people realize it's not what they want.
Right.
So when you had acquired those 4 projects, did you say we have too much in front of us now? We need to hire someone, or did it come later?
That came much later. We actually, I'm trying to think of when we hired. We had like some co-op students. We sort of dabbled with hiring people in like 2007, 2008. And then interestingly, 2008, there was a big downturn, as we know. And at that time, it was interesting because we were actually called Solara's Design Build. We weren't an architecture firm at that time because neither of us were licensed.
Yeah, you hadn't finished.
And so Tom was closer to getting licensed than I was. So he actually left the practice and he went to work for Paul Raff. And thank you, Paul, for helping us.
What a guy.
He's such a great guy.
Right?
Such a great guy. So Tom went to work for Paul Raff to finish his hours. Some of them had gone stale, so he also had to like do extras and get licensed. And then once Tom was licensed, I could technically log my hours under him. So no nepotism there. And so then we became Solaris Architecture. So we went through a legal change to become Solaris Architecture.
And what was the catalyst for naming it Solaris Architecture?
So Solaris stands for solar residential.
Okay.
So in the beginning, we've always been passionate about sustainability. In the beginning, we were really focusing on passive solar design. So just understanding what the sun is doing during the day and how the building needs to be designed to work with that. You know, the sun's not going to change. So the building needs to kind of work with what the sun has to offer. So deep roof overhangs on the south to shade in the summer, but let the sun in the wintertime. Our knowledge has since evolved, as it should.
Yep.
These days, we're really more focused on carbon footprint in general. What's the embedded carbon in the products that we're using, the materials we're using to build the house, the carbon in its operation, which can be close to zero because we do all electric homes. But yeah, back then it was really about solar, and we only did houses, residential.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's called Solaris. And we didn't want to call it Tom and Christine Architect because we wanted that bigger vision of like, maybe it won't be us anymore. Maybe,
and you thought of that early on when you were starting out. Yeah.
That was more Tom's kind of idea, was like, let's not sort of just call it Tom and Christine Architect because that will limit it. Yeah. So if anyone's, listening who wants to buy an architecture firm, it's all ready to go. Give me a call.
You want out already? Look at that.
Well, you got to take your opportunities.
All right. Well, look, so if you're out there and you're in the market for the acquisition of an architecture practice that has projects.
Yeah, we have projects. We're busy right now. We're really busy right now.
Interesting, Christine. I didn't think you'd go there either. Look at, this has been very formative.
You've got to plan forward. I'm not ready to retire yet, but I want to be,
as a part of the acquisition, perhaps there is a implementation phase.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. I know I look incredibly youthful, but I'm not that young.
You're ready to travel more.
I'm ready to travel more.
We'll get there too.
Yeah.
Okay. So you, another question I actually have on this topic, when you started, there are a lot of different softwares that exist. How did you decide on which one you want to work with? Yes.
Another thing I can credit Tom with, he really wanted to use Revit architecture right from the get-go. He knew that it was, Tom likes new things. And we'd both been using CAD at our offices. I had experimented with ArchiCAD when I was working at Architects Alliance. And so he was kind of like, look, if we're going to start from scratch, this whole BIM world, there's probably something in it.
Right.
So we started with Revit and have been using that ever since. So that's another thing. Maybe we should have called it Tom Architect because I'm giving him a lot of credit. It's not too late.
It takes two. It takes two. If someone can come forward with an idea, the other person's got to agree.
Yeah.
If it's a bad idea, you don't strike me as the kind of person that's going to let a bad idea fly.
No, I'm not. So we used Revit architecture and still use it today.
Okay. And so let's talk about what it looked like when you needed to go and acquire your first staff member, and because you talked about co-ops and having people that came to help out.
Yeah.
What was it that pushed you to need to say, you know what, we need support?
Yeah. Because we were a married couple, we were talking about starting a family, and, our vision was to grow. We had a couple of co-op students, Andrea Hunniford, Dan Malka, both Waterloo people, wonderful, very helpful. And then we hired a woman called Melanie Scott. And the day she started was the day the Lehman Brothers collapsed. And we were like, oh boy, we're not quite sure how this is all going to work. But she did work with us. She left Solaris because she had been commuting a very, very long distance and ended up finding a job at Evolve Builders Group in Guelph. And she was so much closer. And that's like the perfect fit for her. So I think she worked with us for maybe just around a year.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we got an email from one of our former professors, John McMinn, and he said, I have this student, this thesis student who's really, really smart, Melody Conabare, and you should meet her. And so that's my most senior person now, Melody, who's been with us like over 14 years, which is fantastic. And so, yeah, it's interesting when you've worked with somebody that long. It's a real like relationship.
Yeah.
Like I look forward to seeing my staff when I go to the office.
Right.
I don't necessarily like miss people when I'm away on holiday, but I'm really happy to see them when I get back.
Right.
And our office has a really beautiful culture of like friendship and collaboration.
How many people are in the office now?
In the office is 6.
Okay.
And then out of the office is 4.
Including yourself or not?
Including myself.
That's a
I'm
solid
in the
size.
office.
You got 10 people.
10. That's including support staff as well.
Yeah. Doesn't run without support staff.
We have the two Carlas. So we have Carla Crawford, who's my office manager, promotions person, and then Carla Hay, who's our bookkeeper.
Okay.
Who also never lets a bad idea fly. Thank goodness. And then we have Brigitte, who works out of Ottawa, and then Daniel, who works out of Prince Edward County.
Okay.
But in the office, it's very collaborative. It's very friendly. And I think that's so, so important as a business owner. People are spending the best parts of their lives at work. It's the best part of the day. It's the best years of their life. And that's really, that's a very special privilege, right? And so I feel like it's very, very important for me that staff feel comfortable and happy to come to work.
Another first on a recording where I've never had anyone say it like that.
No?
No.
I mean, I feel like the people who work for me are my privilege, right? Like I owe them because I would be nothing without them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true.
It's true.
Right? You wouldn't be able to manage the project load. You wouldn't be able to do all the things that you wouldn't be able to have a certain element of life that you have without them.
Yeah.
And alternatively, they might not have the same balance in their life without working for you.
Yeah.
So.
But Melody was our first kind of permanent, forever employee, and she brings such a great personality and attitude, not just to the work, but to the office. Like she helps to create that culture. She's very friendly and very, very like helpful, very collaborative, but her passion for architecture is very strong.
Okay.
Right? Like almost more than mine sometimes, where she goes that extra mile. She fights that extra battle to make things like better and better and better. And I love that about her. And so that cultural element is also being influenced by her on everyone else. And then we have 2 other senior people who have been with us 12 years, Lilia and Joseph. Interestingly, his name's Joseph. And for 10 years, we called him Joseph. And then we were at, some kind of party where we were probably imbibing, and it came out that everyone in his life calls him Joe except for his girlfriend and his mom. And we were like, oh my God, we've been calling you Joseph for 10 years. He's like, yeah, I know. I didn't really have the heart to say. And so he went away on a trip. He took himself to Antarctica for this big long trip, which is incredible.
Unbelievable.
And we made a pact that we were going to convert ourselves into calling him Joe while he was away and surprise him when he came back. So when he came back, we all started calling him Joe, which felt really weird, but now it's natural.
So did you practice while he was away, just saying his name out loud?
Yeah, like when we were talking about him, we'd say Joe. It was really funny. And
tell me about, because now you've mentioned that there's 10 staff and you didn't include Tom as one of the staff. So explain what happened in the practice and what changed.
So while we were running this architecture firm, Tom also wanted to develop properties.
Did I say Tom or did I say Joe?
No, you said Tom.
Okay.
Yeah.
See now what you did? I'm Joe.
Joe.
Okay.
Tom also wanted to develop properties. So in 2008, we bought the building that our office is in.
Okay.
It's on College at Dufferin.
Yeah.
And we renovated that. We lived upstairs. We had our office on the ground floor. It was so great when we had our 2 kids because they were just right upstairs. And I didn't stay home for very long. Maybe 3 months with each of them. It was very short maternity leave, as is the case with pretty much all business owners, I'm sure. And then we bought a house in Roncesvalles, a total gut job. And so Tom would take these breaks away from the firm to go and manage the construction. And that was really his true passion. And so he did this house on Columbus. We moved into that. That was our home. It had a basement apartment and we lived upstairs. Then he did 2 more, one on Dundas. The Dundas one came first. So one on Dundas, it was an old house. He turned it into a triplex. And then one on Dufferin, old house, turned it into a triplex. So we had all these rental properties. And then funnily in February of 2021, this house next to my daughter's best friend came on the market. And we'd known about this house for a long time because every time we dropped my daughter off at her best friend's house, we'd look at this piece of land, this property, and we'd say, oh, that's a good property. It was wide and it had this really nice solid brick home and it was just ripe for development. And so, of course, February 2021, which was literally the peak in the market, like the highest price, it was probably us. We were probably the peak. Anyway, the house came on the market. And so we were like, we have to do it. We put everything we had into it and they came back and wanted a little more. And I remember calling my dad and being like, they want a little more. What should we do? He's always been a good business advisor. And he said, go for it. So we went for it and we bought the house and then we renovated that too. So now we own 5 properties in Toronto. And I think that equates to 12 units or something like that. So when Tom was nearing 50, he's a little older than me, a couple years ago, he was like, I have always wanted to build and, it's now or never. So he left Solaris formally and started a company called Ecoflats Developments. And it's developing or planning, building, and operating your multiplex. That's the tagline. So it's not just about developing the property. They also do the construction management and they do the property management, the lease up and managing tenants, which is really cool.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
And is he designing them all too? Or
No. So he does not practice architecture anymore. Okay. When we consulted with the OAA about it, they were like, yeah, it's a bit of a conflict of interest to do design and build as an architect.
So weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, you got to change your policies.
Yeah, I know. And we were like, he's got his hands full anyway.
Yeah.
So he works with other architects as well as Solaris. And it's like a big endeavor, but he's very, very busy. He's doing excellent work. The mayor came to tour one of his 4plexes recently and was very happy about that. So we're still a couple. He met somebody at the Missing Middle conference last week and they kind of came up to him and sort of whispered, did you and Christine get divorced? And he's like, no, we just don't work together anymore. So that was funny. Now,
we manage a family.
Yeah, we manage a family. That's a job. And, but all of these companies are owned by,
yes,
we all own everything. So we're all still linked. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. And in terms of projects and scale of projects that you look after now, Solaris, tell me, what do they look like?
So we have a real mix of projects. And interestingly, we've had a lot of financial up and downs over the past 20 years, we meaning society.
Yeah, I also need to correct myself. I did say Solaris.
I think so.
But it's not it.
Yeah, it's Solaris.
Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't sure if I said it.
Solaris, yeah.
I want to make sure.
I know. See, you psyched yourself out.
Totally.
2025, at the start of 2025, it was we were really slow.
Yeah.
And like so slow. Like I was looking at the jobs in the office and I was counting like how many days can I keep people employed? You know, which one will I let go of first? Right? Like it's really
terrible position.
It's a terrible feeling.
Yeah.
It's a terrible feeling. And I realized that I had been doing sales wrong because I do all the sales. And I realized that I have one job as a salesperson and one job as an architect, as a project manager. And I was letting my work as an architect or a project manager influence my work as a salesperson. And I needed to split them into two different personalities.
And you
right?
differentiated this?
I differentiated this, yes.
That's
and
cool.
I said to myself, because when you're busy as an architect or project manager, you let your sales lapse. You go slack. You're not as like hungry for the leads. You don't follow up as much. And I remember kind of putting a pin in this feeling of, January of 2025, thinking to myself, like, don't ever forget what it feels like to be desperate for anything, right? And like, if somebody wants to build something and they want that investment of money, because no matter what you build, it is so expensive. Construction is expensive.
Yep.
So if somebody wants to build something, no matter how small, if they want that design, if they want that process to be handled by a professional and they like your service and they value your service, which means they want to pay your fee, then that's a project for you. And there's like, there's no like limit to sales when you think about that. You want to build a shed and you want help doing it and you like our process and you're happy with our fee, that's a project. You want to do, a big cottage in Muskoka, that's a project, right? Like you want help with your kitchen, that's a project. And so I basically just pushed those two sides of my job away from each other. And I said, the salesperson never stops selling. The worst thing that can happen in that scenario is that we have to hire more people because we're too busy. And then the project manager side of me, what I've been realizing in the last few years is that I actually shouldn't be the person to take on the biggest projects in the office. One kind of naturally expects that the principal will be the one to do the big projects, but that's actually, it's not good for me because then it distracts me from running my business, but it's also not good for the client because they have a distracted person running their project. And I'm very, very effective and I'm incredibly organized, but even I have my limits. And so I kind of realized like my two architects, Brigitte and Melody, should be the ones to take the very big projects and I can do the smaller ones, which are a little bit of a faster turnaround, less kind of, impressive deadlines. And I can fit those in and still practice.
Right.
But the more important job that I have is running the company, making sure that we never run out of work again, making sure that all of these people that I hold dear are employed for as long as they want to be with my company.
Yeah.
And making sure that everyone is doing the best work they can so that our clients are happy first and foremost, and that my employees are happy, that they're proud of themselves.
Well, and if they're working on projects that they're engaged with, if you gave a shed project to one of your, senior people, I'm pretty sure they'd be like, "What are you giving me?" If you took it on, it wouldn't matter quite. And so there's also that psychological element that plays into the sale, where you're still fulfilling what the client wants, and you're satisfying what your employees need. To be able to feel like they're a part of something that matters in the way it needs to matter for them. Exactly.
So that was a really big shift in the last kind of 18 months of like how I run the business.
Yeah.
And it really boils down to like, what kind of work do we do? Is it residential in nature? And that can be from, as I said, a bathroom or a kitchen all the way up to a sixplex.
Yep.
And, and does the client want what we're selling?
Yeah.
It's the process that we're selling. It's our sustainability focus. And if those two things are, if those two boxes are checked, then there's a project there.
So tell me one last item on the subject of the practice. And in terms of projects that you've had, and you talk about passive, have you had any houses that have been certified in passive?
Passive house certified? No.
But you've had passive elements brought into homes without the certification of passive.
Yeah. The certification is challenging because it does sort of start to drive the project at a certain point, and it does increase costs. And our projects are so lean. They're also private projects. They're projects for people who are going sustainable because they want to, because they value it and they believe in it. They believe that it's the right thing to do. They believe that their house will be more comfortable, easier to operate. All of those things are true.
Yeah.
And they don't need a certificate to prove that. So
I was leading you there and it worked.
It worked. That big sign you held up also helped me.
There was no sign.
But no, I think in terms of sustainability, we've sort of set challenges for ourselves. At the beginning, it was like, how do we not have thermal bridges? Then it turned into like, how do we make things airtight?
Right.
Then it turned into, and prior to that was like, how do we deal with passive solar design? And then it was, thermal bridging, and then airtightness. And then how do we make houses that are all electric? And now we're on this carbon kind of quest.
Right.
We're always, once we reach a challenge, we set a new challenge for ourselves. Once we make it easy, then we make it more difficult again by adding something new. And I think that that's like, really important professionally to always set new goals.
Yes.
But really, I think sustainability in architecture, especially residential architecture, is always about finding that sweet spot.
Which is hard.
It's hard. It's the balance between cost and aesthetic and need and efficiency. The passive house movement would have your house so airtight that you could, almost launch it into space, right? But that has knock-on effects. Now you can't effectively run your exhaust hood while cooking because it's going to depressurize the house. So the solution to that is put in a makeup air unit. Well, makeup air units are really big, physically big. And in urban scenarios, that's hard. Yeah, you need the space. Yeah. They're massive ductwork. They have a huge electrical draw. They're expensive to both put in and operate, and they're loud. And so we kind of worked with our engineering firm, Renew Engineering, and we kind of said, hey, crazy idea, but how leaky would we have to purposely make a house in order to avoid needing a makeup air unit? And so we kind of worked through a bunch of scenarios, and we sort of came up with our sweet spot for taking it to the limit and then pulling back in order to make the house more livable. Just make it easy. Mm-hmm. And those last couple of like percentiles in efficiency don't really equate to anything tangible anyway. But livability is so important.
And affordability.
I mean, a makeup air unit is like $8,000.
We happen to live in a city that is not so cheap.
No.
Surprisingly, despite what you might think out there in this world, Toronto is insanely expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like insanely expensive. And when you start doing really nice things to your house through either a renovation or a new build, you're going to get reassessed.
Yes.
And when that happens, now you're paying for it again every single year.
Absolutely.
Property tax ain't cheap.
And the trades are smart. They know how much your house is worth.
Yeah.
Like they're not, they're not dumb.
Yeah.
They're gonna like charge what, they're gonna charge. So yeah, everything you do on your project is expensive. And our role is to help people make sure that they don't waste that money building the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That is our primary job. And sometimes we even talk clients out of things that maybe they think they need, but we know they cannot afford.
Yeah.
We're the cold shower sometimes that people appreciate later.
Yeah.
I did have a client once who's just, I have clients sometimes where we have our meetings together and we build the house, and it's so bonding. I really miss them after. But this wonderful client, Linda, who lives in Paris, Ontario now, she said at the end, she said, "Thank you for keeping us in check. There were so many times where we wanted to let ourselves spin out of control, and you pulled us back and you kept us grounded." Right. And she said, I appreciated that, so much.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's such a special job.
Right?
Like, people entrusting you with, it's either all of their money or all of their future debt. It's a massive amount of money. Most of our clients have never done this before, and they don't want to do it again.
Have you had any repeat clients?
I do. I actually have. I'm working with a couple right now. We did their cottage. Now we're helping them with their Toronto house.
Yeah.
We have a client who has a house in Prince Edward County, and we did the house, and then he said, okay, now let's do the garage. And we did the garage. And then he said, now let's do the pool and cabana. And we did that. And now we're doing the guest house. And then he also had his condo. I love his ambitious.
Smile on your face right now is great. Yeah.
I love his ambition. Like, he just loves building stuff. And I love that about him.
Okay. Let's shift away from all the talk of business and evolution. And Tom has received enough airtime. Sorry, Tom.
Yep.
You're great.
You're done now. We promised this time.
Tell me about what you like to do for yourself in your free time. Tell me about what your family looks like, because you did talk about how not quite a number of years ago you wanted to have children.
Yes.
And I know that worked.
Yes, it worked.
Hold on, for some people it doesn't.
I know. We're very blessed in that regard as well.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we have 2 kids. We have a son called Hamish.
Yeah.
And he's turning 16 in September. And he's a wonderfully creative, mature, and incredibly athletic kid. I'm just so impressed by him. We in the winter we play video games together.
What do you play?
So we did the Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I don't play. I just sit on the sofa and watch him play and then try to tell him what to do, but he's his mother's son, or his whatever that saying is. Boy. And so he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to do what I want to do. But this winter, when ski season was over, we played Red Dead Redemption 2, which anyone who's into video games is just an incredible video game.
Red Dead Redemption is incredible. Yeah.
And we were clutching each other on the sofa. Like, I was bawling my eyes out when it was finished. It was just incredible. So that's, things that Hamish and I do together. And then we have a daughter, Moira, who's almost 14. And Moira is very creative, loves, decorating her room and picking out outfits and changing things in her bedroom, drawing, that kind of thing. Moira and I have a really lovely mother-daughter bond. We watch a lot of cheesy shows together, and sort of cringe out together, which is really fun. And she and I think she takes a lot of pleasure in just basic chores like I do. And so we'll do a lot of chores together. I'll be like, oh, let's set up these things together. And she likes building furniture with me and that kind of stuff, like IKEA furniture, not so yeah, as a family, we ski. Our kids did ski racing. And sorry, Tom, I'm bringing Tom up again. He also coached ski racing. And, I go along for the ride. I love being outside. I'm not a good skier, but me and my ski buddy Akimi have good conversations on the chairlift. And then we do the cryptic crossword together in the afternoon. So we ski. And then we also, my biggest passion right now, as you alluded to, is travel. So every year for the last 4 years, we've been doing a really big summer trip. So this trip, we're going to Europe. We're calling every trip has a catchphrase. So this is called the Great Cities of Europe, with a Provençal add-on.
Okay.
So it's Paris, Luxembourg, Bruges, Amsterdam, Berlin, Prague, Vienna, Munich. We're going to see my cousin in Constance, and then we're going to spend a few days in the Alps, and then 5 days in Provence, and then back to Paris. So the first leg is all by train, which will be a new experience for the kids.
Yep.
And then in the Alps and Provence, we have some rental cars. So that'll be 4 weeks in July.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So me, for myself, during COVID, I've always liked to sing. So during COVID, I started taking singing lessons, and, you know, I don't do the sing lessons anymore, but I learned a lot of really good
Techniques,
really good techniques.
Yeah.
So I love singing. I don't especially love singing in front of people. I find it incredibly intimidating, which is interesting.
Why?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Learn how to sing. Sing for yourself.
Yeah, I sing all the time at home for myself.
You don't sing while you're drafting?
No. Well, maybe. It's mainly when I'm like, you know, making my lunch for the next day, or washing dishes, or folding laundry, or something like that. But yeah. So we live in Roncesvalles. It's a beautiful neighborhood.
Yep.
Tom and I were just chatting this weekend about, like, what do we do when the kids move out? You know, we need a plan. We need something to kind of like fill that space that, like, driving. Our kids are really involved in sports. So like all the soccer runs, skiing, volleyball, you know,
You
it's
should
so
start
much.
playing all of those sports, and then
I
just
really-
shuttle yourself there.
We should. I really want to take up hiking. I love walking. I love hiking.
Yeah.
So that's something I probably want to put more time into.
So behind you are a bunch of pictures that anyone else that's been inside of this small studio in my house
Beautiful.
has seen. So one of my favorite things to do, and I only make time to do it once a year, traditionally, is go and do backcountry canoe trips.
Wow.
And I'll tell you, because you get the hike,
Yeah.
we do a lot of portaging,
Yeah.
carrying a lot of weight. But then you're paddling, and it's quiet.
It's beautiful.
It's quiet, and it's my friend and I will typically go. I'll pick our routes. You can see some of those pictures. His name's Michael, one of my good friends. Shout out to you, Michael Petrucco. You make it through any of these episodes. But the beauty of being out in the nature when you're going on these hikes, like one of my, to your point about wanting to get into hiking, I would love to do the Appalachian Trail.
Oh, wow.
I would love to do it,
Wow.
but you need months
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
And you need to be physically prepared
Yeah.
for what your body's going to go through and endure over the course of doing it.
Yeah.
And then there's also hikes you can do through the Alps.
Yeah.
Like some incredible stuff. And anyhow, so it's a pretty special time of life to be able to go and experience these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Have an established practice. You know, now you're not listening to techno.
I still love walking through the city, listening to music, but it's not techno anymore.
But now you can sing to it.
There you go.
Right?
Oh gosh.
Christine, it's been a pleasure having you here and learning your story. I appreciate you taking the time to do it. It's been really enjoyable.
Thank you.
I hope that the nerve that you had in the beginning
didn't last at all.
Right?
You were right.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So thanks for taking the time to do this with me.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.